Howdy folks, PappyStu here. How y'all doing tonight? Okay, let's see here. What should we talk about? Oh, let's talk about deterrent nuclear submarine patrols during the Cold War. That might seem like a peculiar discussion, but you know, not too many people even think about the Cold War or the evil empire or any of that foolishness anymore. The Russians, I guess there's still Russians around, but they're not the evil empire anymore, and we're not having a Cold War anymore. I don't know what we are having now, something with terrorists, it doesn't seem near as entertaining to me, but yeah, back when I was a kid, I used to make patrols on deterrent nuclear submarines, and it wasn't very fun, to tell you the truth. I wanted to be home most of the time, but what we would do is we would get on our submarines and we would go out to sea, and the president didn't know exactly where we were, and neither did anyone else in the Pentagon or anything else. We had about 1,000 square mile area, and we would go out and make patrols and point our missiles at the bad guys, and they pointed their missiles at us, and who do we point our missiles at now? You got terrorists hiding in caves. You're going to point a 50 megaton thermonuclear device at Osama in northern Pakistan. It sounds kind of flaky, I suppose. So that whole way of life has kind of gone by the wayside. But we used to get on our submarines. We'd go out for 2 months at a time and cover targets, and nobody knew where we were, and we couldn't talk to anybody, and they couldn't talk to us. So our families could send us 10 familygrams, which were telegrams, 50 words, and they were censored. It was one-way communication they could send to us, and we couldn't talk to them. They could just talk to us. And then that we only got good news. They cut out any bad news. Nobody ever took bad news out. One thing about it, we always seemed to have good food. The eggs and milk and the fresh vegetables and that sort of thing generally ran out pretty early on in our patrols, but we had pretty good food, and we had really good cooks, and all we did was eat, sleep, and stand watch and cover targets with our missiles, and hope that someday we didn't have to do our job and fire nuclear missiles at our Chinese communist or Russian communist adversaries. So, it was kind of a weird lifestyle, and living in close quarters with a lot of other people, 130 some guys on a submarine inside of I always called it a sewer pipe with the ends welded up, but anyhow, it was an interesting lifestyle, and you spent a lot of time thinking of family. If you were smart, you tried to read, or we watched the same movies over and over and over again, because back then we actually had movies on reels. We didn't have DVDs. We didn't even have VHS cassettes back then. We had movie projectors with movies on reels, and this was back in the late 60s, early 70s, and things were a lot different back then. We didn't have cell phones, computers, and email and all that great stuff. So we didn't even have DVD or VHS. We had movies on reels and books, and we read the same books over and over again, and we would read our familygrams over and over and over again. But anyhow, they had boomers too. That's what we called our submarines, boomers. And we had boomers, and then we had fast attack submarines that would run around and try to find their boomers, and they had fast attacks that would try to run around and find us. Though to our knowledge, they never actually did find one of our SSBN submarines covering targets. And so anyhow, that's what we were out there for, to make sure that if the Russians ever got an idea that they could shoot missiles at us and get the draw on us, or catch us off guard, and before we had a chance to fire back with the SSBNs and our missiles aboard, we were the guarantee that if they got us, we would get them. Mutually assured destruction. So neither one of us destroyed the other, except maybe economically. And the USSR, the Soviet Union, finally came to an end in the 80s. I believe it was the 80s. And so, but anyway, we still have nuclear missiles, and now they have nuclear missiles, and a bunch of their countries that split up all have nuclear missiles. So who knows where those are pointed now. But anyhow, that's what making SSBN nuclear deterrent cruises on submarines was kind of like. That's a small piece of the lifestyle, and we don't do that anymore, and probably won't ever do that again. But actually, I think there are some guys. There's guys out there on submarines, whether they're pointing missiles or who they're pointing at, who knows. That was so long ago. I was back in the old George Washington class. But anyhow, yeah, that was the old days. That was back during the Cold War. We didn't have terrorists. We had the Russians and the Chinese, you know. So now we got terrorists, oh boy. Anyway, just a little video to talk about what it was like back then, and I'll show some memorabilia, little clips of memorabilia of, you know, trinkets from that era and insignia from that era. I have a picture or two I'll share with you. But first class machinist mate insignia for the shoulder and for the lapel and belt buckle. Name tag, identification, and campaign medals and awards. Good Conduct Medal. Yeah. Submarine Dolphins, new and old, for qualification in submarines. And patrol pin, lapel pin, which has stars on it in different colors, noting the number of patrols made on SSBN nuclear missile boat submarine patrols. Money from Singapore, Thailand, the Philippines, Australia, numerous other countries. Paper money from Thailand, Singapore, England, so anyhow, I hope you enjoyed hearing about making deterrent nuclear missile submarine patrols. I guess it's kind of a boring subject, but there you are. Hope you all have a fine one. PappyStu said it, and I'm out and on the side.